lower my voice a little bit in the outside, kind of like hard to concentrate here a little bit, but thank you so much. All right. So now, the goal is basically how to make them read your essay from the beginning to end. Again, like I said, you are going to stuck with me and Santika because this is what we're going to do. I get to the point where I tell some of my advisees, like, you know, no pressure, because that's like how we do the advising session. We're not going to kind of, run over you like, where's your essay? Where is your essay? But basically no pressure, but we just, want to give you a heads up that if this is what you want, if you are with us, then that's what we're going to do, right? We are going to make them read your essay from the beginning to end. And how can you do that? Well, first, by making a one-of-a-kind introduction paragraph. Is it hard? It is hard, right? But by you attending the session, you are basically good to go. And then after this, you can start writing your first draft. And then after that, we can start the one-on-one advising session, right? Making one-of-a-kind introduction paragraph and write an essay that no other applicant can write. Is it hard? Yes. Again, it is hard, but again, we can do it, right? And then I want to give you a heads up. I think I should put it in my presentation next time, but I think I keep forgetting to do that. But I want to give you a heads up where if you ever think about looking at some other people's essay, there are books out there that basically tell you, a compilation of, essays for people who end up in this whatever universities in the US. Stop doing that. Or if you have like your senior or your friends already in the US and then you're thinking about like asking their essay so that you can take a look what their essay looks like, stop doing that. Because what I see from my advisees who do that is it's kind of like limit their creativity when it comes to like writing the essay. So I keep telling them, and I actually see this from my advisees, that by just simply attending the session, and again, I learned that some of my advisees shared it with me that, you know what, like I got it after I watched your session, Fina, for the third time. And I was like, whoa, seriously. So, but then they said, it's really, now I get it. And then so just simply attend the session, start writing your draft. It doesn't have to be perfect, but then start writing your draft and then see Santika, and then we can start building from there. Okay? But at the same time, when I say that we want you to create a one-of-a-kind essay or introduction paragraph, we don't want you to, at the same time, we don't want you to try so hard to be different. We want you to be genuine and original. But then the problem is that's what happens when you are comparing or start looking at other people's essay. You think about, oh, this kind of essays get this person to this university, so that means I need to write exactly like that. And so that's when your creativity and whatever you have in mind is actually quite limited. And I actually see that. Even like recently, I have an advisee coming in, and he said, when I gave him a comment, and then he said, but I look at this, one book or like one, some of the articles, then they are basically say that, this is like the way to write the essay. And I said, no, just stop doing that. But then here's the thing though. I don't know, maybe after what I'm about to say, probably some of you will probably like leave this event or something because you'll be probably like, you're wasting my time. But here's the thing, there is actually no right or wrong structure on how to write a statement of purpose. But what you are watching right now is years in making. So I've been with EducationUSA for, 5-6 years now. And like I said earlier in the very beginning, I'm still learning until today when it comes to essay writing. This presentation slides is actually, a lot of times, it took a lot of time for me to actually end up with this presentation slide. And this is actually when I looked from my past advisees, that basically we want you to just kind of like very originally you, instead of like, again, like comparing what other people are basically saying. All right. So again, like what is it? And then you're kind of like, we actually get this a lot from our advisees. Can I see samples of essays from others? The fact that you successfully help a lot of Indonesian students get to these universities and that universities. Well, I mean, there some of my advisors are actually giving me an okay to actually share their essays, and technically I can do that after they say okay to that. But do I want to do that? Actually, no. And Santika, if you can help me ask the team to lower my voice, that would be really wonderful. I can. Thank you. So yeah, can I see sample of essays from others? I would say no, and with a good reason. It's actually very unnecessary because again, like I said earlier, we don't want to compare because what I want you to do by having us, working together in this essay, I want you to create your you can create like your essay that is very original. Okay. And remember, at this point, we are writing a story and not an academic paper, right? This is something very simple, just like one slide, but then I want you to kind of put that in your mind as well, because again, when it comes to outside the US, where the way we write it is very academic-y, very academic, yeah, sounds very academic paper, but then in the US, we can have those, but then we don't want to start by writing something that is like very like academic paper. Okay, okay. And so, first thing first, when you start writing, we want to create a topic or a theme. So, now we are getting kind of like going up a little bit because you understand that, okay, I'm going to create a story that is Fina said that is not about me, but then at the same time, we don't have to, we want to kind of like be very original. So, how to do about it? So then I found a tip along the way when I learned from my advisees when we work together on that by creating a topic and making a theme and stay in that topic and theme for the rest of the essays, that will makes it very helpful. Okay, so when you create a topic, so for example, you want to study LLM specifically on environmental law, right? But then you're thinking about, okay, what is it? And then you're writing a statement of purpose, right? So what is your purpose? So the purpose is actually I want to create helping the Indonesian government creating a law on a specific things on environment, right? And so that's going to be your topic. That means from the very beginning until the end of your essay, that's what you're going to talk about. We are not going to talk about anything else. Okay? And I found that when I tell my advisee that, they found it, okay, just stick with it, stick with it. And that's okay when you shared with me your second draft or your third draft where you kind of like talk about like something else, that's when we kind of like discuss it together. Hey, let's go back to, your topic, right? And then maybe kind of like not really sure what topic or theme that you mean. Another tips, don't worry, another tips is you can ask this big questions if you don't know your topic is. Which you know what? I'm actually you already know, but you just still kind of like it's not there yet because this is like a new information for you, right? So ask these big questions maybe can help. Who am I trying to help? So like what I said earlier, so it's actually not a who, but it's a what, right? So if it's not a who, no, don't worry. If it's not like directly helping people, okay, let's change it with a what. What am I trying to help? What kind of contribution that I'm going to do? So you can ask that. What am I trying to help, right? Or maybe you're thinking, oh yeah, no, I want to study finance because there's like this one particular industry in this a particular field in this ministry of whatever, ministry of finance or whatever that is still missing, and I want to help the government on that. So what am I trying to help? So you're going to help that, right? Or yeah, again, what is my mission here? And so let's stay a little bit here in this light, right? And then maybe you can kind of like if you're now thinking it's not a who or it's not a what. It's I'm just want to study master. Just because it sounds cool to get like a master's degree. I don't really have like a purpose. Then we have a problem. I'm not saying that you cannot study in the U.S. with that kind of mindset. It's just that it will give us, and this is basically what makes my job is really enjoyable because I love and again like I like on a yearly basis. I would say I worked with Indonesians, young professionals like you guys who are watching the sessions, or even like high school students. I can fairly say that 99.9% of you guys actually have this kind of mission in you. Like there is some kind of contribution that you want to do for the country. It's very rare, especially if you want to do masters, that you actually don't know exactly what you want to do. Probably in a year we would see probably like one or just two people. But then the rest, you guys are amazing. You guys are already amazing. Don't worry, but I'm pretty sure you already know. It's just that you're not get used to it. So basically, that will be your topic, right? That will be your topic if you can answer those questions. Now, the larger the scale of the problem or idea that you would like to focus on in the future, let's say the whole country of Indonesia, or if you are Indonesian, I don't know, maybe some who is not from Indonesia, because we recently got a lot of people, and a number of people that is not from Indonesia watching the session, which is we really appreciate that. But now in the context of like Indonesia, talking about the whole country, for example, the better, right? But don't worry if you're not actually thinking about like fixing or having an innovation or what have you for the whole country. That's totally fine. I got some advisees who just, I want to fix or like the flood in Jakarta alone. That's it. That's fine. It's not like talking about the whole country, but think about like the impact that after you do it, probably you can actually help other cities or even other countries, right? So, but the larger the scale of the problem that you would like to focus, you also have like some kind of like new ideas, the better. There are two ways of writing a memorable introduction paragraph. Do you see here what I'm doing? Again, getting more technical, but we are going up and up and up, right? So we are now slowly starting to write. There are two ways of writing a memorable introduction paragraph. The one of a kind introduction paragraph, the introduction paragraph where it is only you who can write, no other person in this world, not even like your fellow Indonesian. And there are two ways of writing it. You may not want to do this one unless you have a really particular and different and unique type of personal experience, right? And the thing is, it's not, but a lot of people actually do the second way. But I'm just, sharing it with you guys that this can also be the option. So it's a personal story about yourself, but then again, something that makes you stand out and sets you apart from the other applicants, right? So if you have unusual experiences or you are a member of underrepresented population. So for example, Santika and I, we've been receiving a lot of new advisees. Well, not a lot, a number of advisees. Well, we want to be a lot. So if you guys are watching this, please. There is LPDP BIT, Beasiswa Indonesia Timur. So there are actually a number of great planning to study in the U.S. And because not only they are we can say that member of an underrepresented population because they are still so far away. Although I'm like very jealous because they're living in a very exotic place in Indonesia, but they also have a lot of unusual experiences, just like very different than us here in a big city, right? So oftentimes, I urge them to actually, hey, you can actually, talk about like personal experience. Or watching this session right now, probably you will want to kind of like do the second way. All right, so this is, let's read it together. Okay, the passing of my mother and grandmother from breast cancer when I was 15 years old opened my eyes to a new perspective on life. I became intensely interested in science and possibly find a cure for cancer. Why is it personal? Because this person talked about his or her mom and story in it. I don't know this person. This is not my advice. I got this from like a while ago. But this person better planning to study public health or somewhere in the medical field, right? Because if not, then there's no point. And this is like what makes using this kind of personal approach kind of challenging, because then if you want to use this approach, you somewhat have to be right. So you can't say that you want to study I don't know, like MBA, but then you use this kind of introduction. You use this kind of like personal approach. Like there is, it's not like the same story. So remember when I said create a topic, create a theme, because we want to have like one concrete story, right? So that's one example, and I only have one. And let's see the second one. That is, and this is my favorite actually, and this is I would say the majority of my advisees are doing, based on my suggestion, technically, where we basically just dive into the problem itself, right? Especially if you are, I don't know if you have any high school students watching this. This might not be for you. If you're, oh yeah, I think I need to say that in the beginning. If you're high school students watching this session, your go-to essay will be the number one, the personal, for sure, right? But if you want to study masters or PhD, that's why if you can answer the big questions like you already have the answers, we can definitely just kind of like diving into it. And then another reason I think I have on my okay, the next one is just example, but the reasons why I highly suggest my advisee to do this is because first, we are international students, right? So it's definitely something that is that the admissions committee will find it really interesting, right? For sure, because we are international students. Second of all, this will be very biased in a way that if you're not from Indonesia, but because this is Education USA from Indonesia, but there is a selling point, the fact that you guys are from Indonesia. Why? Because we are not from as China or India or Saudi or Vietnam or South Korea. Let's see what else. Basically, countries where the number. We are from Indonesia, so there are currently about 9,000 Indonesians in the US. And some of you might think that, oh, that's like a lot. And I actually quite disagree big time, because 9,000 Indonesians, that's like a really low number. The fact that we are number fourth most populous country in the world, and there are only 9,000 Indonesians studying in the US. And that's why I'm with EducationUSA. That's why I have this event, because we want to see more of you guys in the US. But now the good side is because there are only about 9,000 Indonesians, so it makes you kind of a very rare applicant when you apply to US universities, right? And that is actually kind of a selling point, because then they will be kind of like intrigued by you, like, oh, we got an applicant from Indonesia, and then we a huge thing about Indonesia, and I feel like there are so many interesting things that about Indonesia that we can actually share. Okay, so diving into the problem, to the issue, but then again, not always about that you want to fix something, but it can also be like an idea, okay, that you want to tackle, that you want to fix, that you want to start. So my next few slides, I think I got three, if it's not four. I think I got three samples from my advisees' essays that I already asked for their permission. And yes, I actually mentioned previously that, when I put a question, Tina, can I see samples? And I said no. Not like putting like the whole introduction paragraph, but just a number or two or three sentences on their introduction paragraph, just to show you the like how powerful and how amazing this introduction paragraph is, that like that, but again, not exactly, like give you an idea what what an interesting introduction paragraph looks like. Okay, so let's take a look at. I found it really strong. Indonesia, an emerging economy country, is predicted to be one of the top five largest economies in the world by 2050, according to PwC report. Stop. Let's stop. Don't continue the reading. This person starts with a very emerging economic country, but at the same time predicted to be one of the top five in 2050, which is not like, not soon, but like, not like 100 years or anything. Okay, I want to know more, right? And then let's read the second one, the second paragraph. Indonesia also to an amount of under 10%. Let's stop. Let's not read the next one. This person actually still giving the reader an interesting information, right? Because remember in the very beginning, so that's why this is like, I keep, reminding everyone that it will be really good. At the very beginning, I told that who is the reader? We need to know the reader. The reader is basically the admissions committee. It can be the faculty member. It can be the admissions team. But let's assume that they don't know anything about Indonesia. And this is the time to fix, but then we want to get their attention from the very beginning of the essay by giving this kind of facts about Indonesia. Basically, this is the ending goal, right? That we want in Indonesia to basically like be the top five largest economies in the world by 2050. Interesting information. But then see what happens next. However, the World Bank claims that socioeconomic inequality in Indonesia is widening, eventuating in the situation where the result of its economic growth has only been enjoyed by the richest 20% of its society. Now, maybe for some of you, if you're Indonesians and you read this, you'll be like, yeah, we already know. But imagine, put yourself as if you're know nothing about Indonesia, and remember the readers is actually from the admissions committee of that respective program. So of course, not a person from engineering would read this, right? It must be someone from, in the, maybe like public policy kind of field. Will definitely find this interesting, right? More sentences for the whole paragraph, but would you want to read the rest? Is it enough to kind of introduction paragraph that we want to produce, right? And then let's do the second one now. As one of Indonesia's founding fathers, Muhammad Hatta, had once said, Indonesia will not shine because of the torch in Jakarta or capital city, but Indonesia will glow because of the candles in the village. So I always tell people that do not quote, do not put quotation, especially those quotation that is out there, that is very public. Great quotation, but somewhat like one of my good advisees, basically aware of that as well. But then she was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna use this one. And then actually when she shared this, it actually put a smile on my face, because this is the kind of quotation that I would say, yeah, it's okay. It's actually even great to actually have it in the essay, because this is not a quotation. This is like a very related at the same time to what she wants to say, right? And then she said, Indonesia's food security relies on small farmers. This second information, right? Which accounts for 90% of all Indonesian farmers. And then what is really interesting about this essay is she actually started making the comparison with the U.S. Unlike U.S. farmers, because she wants to study in the U.S. obviously. That makes the whole thing really interesting. Unlike US farmers who averagely owns 169 hectares per farmers, Indonesian farmers only hold less than 1 hectares averagely. If you're an American reading this, right? Would you want to read the rest? I definitely would. Even like when I read this essay, I would like, I want to know more. I want to know more. I want to know more. That's why I put this into this slide, because this is like such the perfect example of how a secret that I told you that is no longer a secret, that they may actually not read the whole thing. So if they read an introduction paragraph that is just kind of like very like boring in a way, like my name is blah whatever, my name is Fina, I graduate from, and I, graduate with like 3.9, those information that they already, okay, but this is a story, this is the story that they want to have, this is the story that they want to hear. Okay, I think this is the last one, if not, yeah, I think this is the last one. It has been almost 2 years since the president of the Republic of Indonesia, that's very fancy when you're bringing in like Indonesia, right, officially launched Making Indonesia 4.0, a roadmap planned by the government to reach the goal of being in the top 10 world's most economically developed countries by 2030. So do you see the similarities between like the first sample, basically talking about like how great Indonesia's plan is, and then this person dropped the bomb by saying, unfortunately, data specialist in Indonesia, and on and on and on. And he, kind of like give a teaser in the first paragraph and then move on to the second paragraph with, more details on that. But I hope that this examples kind of like give you a better idea of the kind of introduction that we want to. Again, assume the reader knows nothing about the topic you write about in the essay. So we want to give them like a glimpse about if it's related to your essay. So for example, I have an advisee who wants to work like in like oil and gas, some kind of very sciencey field, and then she started by kind of like talking about, she laid out a brief introduction about like how Indonesia looks like geographically, how you can put that into words. So is it hard? It is hard. I mean, if you ask me, I don't even know how to, because I'm not like, applying to doing like a master's and like how great your plan is, but you can do it. You can do it, right? As long as you actually know exactly what you want to do, right? You give a glimpse about Indonesia before explaining more in depth in the next paragraph. So remember when I said that at this point you don't want to sound like you're writing an academic paper? This is very important, at least in the introduction paragraph, where you don't sound like you are writing an academic paper. But then on the second paragraph, you can kind of sound data, basically continuing the story from your first paragraph. But the first paragraph has to be very interesting, and it can actually be it can be non-formal. You can even be very bold. It can be very funny even, right? So give a glimpse about Indonesia and a teaser or plan is, right? And you want to be very specific. And this is what basically always happens almost when you guys give me the draft for the first time, where you guys are just basically staying on the surface in explaining things, like very general, like no helped the government creating a like a new policy on da 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 da, but then you don't actually go very deep into like why is that, so that's why, and oftentimes a lot of people still do that despite the fact that they told me that I attend your session. So now I'm saying it again. We don't want to just write a very general story. Like every time you write a statement, you need to ask yourself, is this general? Does the admissions committee new information? Right? If the answer is yeah, it's obvious that in order for me to help the government, blah blah blah, so then we don't want to do that. But we want to go very deep, give the backstory of why Indonesia need a new policy and so on and so on. Right? So you again, like here's the example. You do not just want to say, I would like to help the economy of Indonesia because Indonesia currently have this agenda of whatever, right? But the 4.0 or something. But then you want to say the why and you want to say the how. Um, some tips basically. You can do a comparison between Indonesia's case or Indonesia's situation with other countries. If you can actually do that with the United States, it would be amazing. But if not, that's okay too. Maybe you can, have advisees making a comparison with neighbor countries. That's also fine. At this point, remember the goal is to wow the reader, get their attention so that they will want to keep reading the next. That being said, this will getting more challenging from here on. It makes the last sentence of your first paragraph, the last sentence, the closing of your first paragraph, very, very, very important. That's kind of like the deciding factor for the reader after the first paragraph, whether or not they want to move on to the rest. And we want them to read the rest. Okay? So, for almost an hour, and we are still on an introduction paragraph. But the reason is because introduction paragraph is, and I feel like having read a lot of essays in the past, as long as you can master the introduction paragraph is going to be very easy. And I don't actually have a lot of times because I want to discuss. I want the discussion with you, so I'm going to go very quick from here on. But that's basically the whole point. Not a little bit longer, stay long in the introduction paragraph, because just how difficult, how challenging it is to write an introduction. Kind of like wrap up what I've shared. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but keep in mind when writing the essay that by now you know that we do not want to write a narrative story out of your CV because I talk about this in the very beginning, right, in the event. In the presentation, that basically, yeah, they can already see that, but they really want to get to know you on a personal level. They really want to hear your story. Geography. Because if it is the case when it comes to essay writing in the US, I don't see the point of tips from me to basically start writing your essay and stay in the one direction is by creating a theme or a topic of what is it that you want to talk about. And what is it that you want to talk about is basically what is it that you want to do in the future, right? So if you want to study, I don't know, like MPA, right? Master of then why? Why do you want to study specifically on that? What is it? What is the purpose? What is the ending goal, right? And I'm a very proud Indonesians, and basically I love reading essays from you guys because I learned so much more about this country from you guys actually, and just really opened my eyes to the point where wow, Indonesia is great. And can you imagine that I'm an Indonesian can say that? Imagine if this is the admissions committee who know nothing about Indonesia, they interesting. I'm telling you that. I can tell you that for sure. Create a story, but not about you. All paragraphs have to be connected. That's why you have to have a team, right? Don't write something. Um, and I know it's very hard. It's really hard to. We are here for. That's what I'm here for. That's why we have this session, right? I will be happy to help you on that on a one-on-one basis. You have to be an expert in that topic. Well, I mean, obviously, right? But then again, the part about like the Indonesia, we have to we will want to assume that the reader knows nothing about it. So that's why we have to kind of like show them like the data, show that you actually really know what you're doing, what you're going to do. So yeah, demonstrate the passion for the chosen topic. I mean that's like very obvious. Then compare your rate, but then I can only do that when I actually learn this program by continuing master's degree in the U.S. When that happens, then that's when you can kind of like start digging in like the story, kind of like when you want to kind of like do some kind of like a personal approach. Um, um, but then again, if you want to just kind of like dive into the problem, you can also ask the same question, like when was the time when you find that this is like a huge problem? What is, if any, the issue that you would like to address? Any relevant research, internship prior to your proposed study? How do the program and university you choose? This is kind of like in the body paragraphs. Something that I haven't talked about because like I spent about like an hour now talking about like introduction paragraph. Um, but basically, um, if you did past experience, and I know that I said that you don't basically talk anything that is on your CV into your essay, but then if it's like still related to what you want to do, then yes, you can take or use one or two from the CV, only if it's still related, right? And then in the body paragraph, also after that, how do the program and university you choose over another help you address the issue? And this one has to be like in one specific paragraph, and it's very crucial paragraph as well, because this is the part when we like really show to the universities that, hey, look, I gave you this backstory of what I want to do, and I can only do that in your university because, look, I already did my research. It's because you guys have this and that, this and that. And then again, we don't want to sound very general. Like we no longer do. If you come see me or Santika, we're not. If you and you ever put something like we pick your campus because this is like number one in the U.S. or because you're located in New York or something in Washington D.C. It's not like a sexy type of story to tell, because for them they already know that, yeah, like of course they already know that we are located in the perfect place. But then if you actually go even deeper than that by saying that, because there's this one faculty member, and then you mention the name, or even better, you already been in correspondence with this person, or you guys have this one, you have this lab that no other universities has, or whatever it is, that you can actually show to them that you have done the research about that program inside out, then for them, that's like basically what they're really looking for, right? And then again, the conclusion of the essay is basically when you say your next steps. So after you graduate, what are the plans? And you can sound very ambitious here, and actually going to push my advisees. I'm going to push you guys to actually sound very ambitious. It doesn't have to be like exactly going to happen in the future, but then if that's the plan, then we want to put that. Okay. And so writing the body and conclusion paragraph, basically, after you have that very strong introduction paragraph, that is a teaser. But then at the same time, you can kind of like, give them an idea of where you're going with this essay. The body paragraph is when you provide like more details after that teaser in the introduction paragraph, right? So you demonstrate again like the case, the issue, the problem. You're giving out numbers. You can compare it with like neighboring countries if you haven't done that in the introduction paragraph. So that can be done, and it depends on how many words that the university is asking, but that can be done in maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs after the introduction paragraph, but normally just like 2. So we have like 1 introduction paragraph and then 2 body paragraphs discussing in details, in depth about this. And then after that, another paragraph that is about the university, basically saying, and this is why I need to study at your campus because blah 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 blah, and then that blah 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 is actually very important because then you want to mention courses or you want to mention faculty members, really, make a connection between the problem that you or the story that you have on your previous paragraphs to how it's connected to the program that the university has. So I will ask you to basically have in this one paragraph, when you talk about the program, to also be able to kind of like back and forth mentioning the course and then elaborate, giving some kind of a proof on how that course will help you achieve what it is that you are going to achieve in Indonesia. You know about the program, that should be kind of somewhat easy because you already know, and that's why you choose the university in the first place. But then there are some people who are basically choosing the university just because it's great without really knowing about the program itself. Find out more, right? And then mention professors that would be really great. Basically, professors that you really inspired the most, or professors that you really want so much to be taught by, and then we put it in there. And then not just by mentioning it, right? We want to elaborate why that professor is actually really helpful. And then maybe you found out that the professor actually has done a research in Indonesia, or what have you, because I have advisees that shared with me that, and I found it really, really interesting. Or even, I usually tell us or ask my advice, yeah, basically just tell my advisees, if you have a lot of time to work on your application, give it a try in contacting the faculty members that you really admire, and then just introduce yourself. And then if the professor actually, which, by the way, if you watch our past session when we invite, guest speaker that is, current student alumni, a lot of them basically shared about, when they actually in contact with one or two professors, and then the professors actually reply with give a positive feedback, and then you can actually put that in the essay. And when you are able to put that in the essay by mentioning that you have been in contact with this professor, whew, that's like really, really close for you in getting in. Like I trust me on that. But then yeah, you will want, basically you will want to be very well acquainted with the program being considered. You want to know the strength, and not only you show that you are the expert of this problem that is currently going on, or that you are the expert of this whole new idea that you're going to bring in for Indonesia or what have you, but then you are also the expert of this campus has to be the one because look, like no, like this one is definitely the one because you guys have this and that has to be able to be shared in the essay. And so see how different this whole essay deal is with other essays for different countries, right? So, conclusion, what's next after the program? Again, like I said, basically I like to repeat things. So basically I have this basically on just the previous slides, but I kind of like shared saying it differently, but pretty much the same. Basically, be ambitious. I said it earlier, right? Be ambitious. Okay. Basically, we are near to the end of the presentation here. I will go very quickly. You will want to be very clear for sure, concise, especially if the words limit is just like 500. So if you actually find a university that asks you for writing 500, don't feel happy. I'm telling you, don't feel happy because it's going to be very tough. After all after all the things that I shared with you, the kind of informations that we can share in the essay, trust me, doing it for 500 words, man, that's like really, really hard, right? But then again, that's what we are here for. I will be able to basically, cut a lot of words that are basically is not giving any new information, right? It has to be well written for sure, organized, as in be sure to answer all questions asked, stay in the theme, don't forget, relevant from one paragraph to another, introduction being the paragraph that is kind of like elaborate more after you're done with the first paragraph by giving numbers and just elaborate more. And then another paragraph talking about why that university has to be the perfect university for you. And then you close it with the conclusion. All right. The do's, this is something, the first one is unfortunately this one thing that not a lot of us do because we all love procrastination, right? Give yourself plenty of time to write it, guys. But the good thing, I think it seems to work. I am currently working, but I want more. That their deadline is not until this is like for the 2022 term, so their deadline is not until January 2022, or maybe even like the earliest one is September of this year. But then now we are still in March, so we are still have a lot of time to write about it. So this is like the perfect time. If you are here for 2022, write now. Start writing now. Okay. Be sure to answer all questions asked. I basically just repeat that. Again, you know what, guys? You already know this. Begin with an attention grabbing lead introduction paragraph. It's just that I'm keep looking at like the right side of my screen and the chat is keep popping up, but I couldn't see what is in it, and I just can't wait to actually see some of the questions and basically just call up Santika and basically give me tell me right here. But let's see the don'ts. Grammatical errors. This is like the first time this night tonight that I mentioned grammatical errors, right? I don't mention grammatical errors from the beginning because what we do basically, which by the way, you know what? I think I should have like mentioned this in the beginning, but I just found it really funny if I just put it in the at the end. We don't do grammatical error, guys. By the way, we only help you with the structure because we feel like that's the two kind of like go hand in hand. Grammatical errors is a big no. Bad structure is a big no as well. But then I feel like the structure is the one that we found like very challenging the most. I'm fully Indonesian. I was, born and grew up in Indonesia, so I'm not an English native speaker. Neither Santika. So we are basically, my grammar is actually really bad as well. So, and I just don't have the time to actually, focus on two things, So I prefer to just like focus on one thing that I kind of like find the structure that works, right? So basically the structure, and we don't do grammatical errors, right? Get an English native speaker to check on the grammar too. So when you are basically done with Santika or I, when it comes to essay review, I don't want you to just stop there, but give yourself like one. If you can, specifically an American, because I have in the past some stories from some of my advisees where they said, yeah, I give it to, well, yeah, I mean they're an English speaker, but English native speaker, but they said my essay is weird because of that introduction paragraph that I told you about. So we can fairly say that non-American wouldn't really get why we write what we write in the essay, because again, other countries, they feel like I feel like only Americans can do that. What we're going to do in your essay. So if you can give it to an American. EducationUSA America advisors, we help you on the structure and not the grammar. So the don'ts, not just grammatical errors, but actions, just to kind of like make it neat, so it's not they've, could, and should have, but like they have, could not, should have. Listing experience or some those in the CV. We don't want something cliches. We don't want to sound very general, or the word that I usually what I use with my advice is we don't do easy words. We don't do easy statement. We don't do easy sentence. But we want to sound very deep. Like we want to sound very very detailed, right? References to experience before college, unless you're in high school, and controversial topic such as religion and politics, unless that's like what you want to study on. Okay. Writer's block. Basically, if you are watching this session and you want to study for 2021 just because the deadline for April or May is still open, forget about writer's block. You don't have the luxury of having a writer's block, but if you are here for 2022 term, you can have writer's block. Well, basically, writer's block is when you are a writer and then you just don't know, you are planning to write, but then you just don't know where to start, or you just don't know like what to write. That's like when you have writer's, take some time off and then start over. But then some tips from me, just start writing down your thoughts and worry about how it sounds later. So start writing in bahasa. I feel like this whole writing essays deal is just very challenging because assuming that we're not like an English native speaker, it's English is not our mother tongue, and it's challenging to write in English, right? So if you want to do that, just write it in bahasa. But then when you come see me and or Santika, please have it in English, please. Don't do it in bahasa. Write as long as possible. This is something that I like to tell my advisors, especially if the universities only allow you to write in 500 words. That is very challenging, but if you still have a lot of time to work on this, just write as many as possible. I have advisors that come see me with 5 pages, where she said, I can only do 1.5, So we have a lot to cut down. And I said, don't worry. It's better when you write so much more than when you write little. So yeah, do that. All right. Ask others who know you well, but maybe also ask others who don't know you well, like myself or like Santika. We're going to be your stranger who will be able to give you a very honest opinion on the essay. But then it's a win-win situation, and it's will not only give you our honest opinion, but then at the same time, we're going to direct you to the right way on how to write an essay, right? And then the last tips is record yourself. When we have a session, this is also something that I like to do when we were still in America while back. It seems like a really long time ago, but we usually I usually tell my advisees, hey, do you want to have your phone up? Because when we do one-on-one advising session talking about essay, we are going to brainstorming together, right? So in summary, we're getting close here. So start very early, at least 2 years. Not 2 years before the deadline, it's like crazy early, but 2 years before the program starts. Because if you want to start in 2022, now is 2021, the deadline for 2022 is sometimes it can be like a year before. And so we don't want to just start writing close to the deadline. So we want to kind of like take another year before that, or maybe not another year, maybe 6 months is okay. But yeah, basically more or less it's 2 years before the program starts that you want to start writing, right? Keep mentioning this. You are the expert that we are. I do not want to see anything out of your biography, out of your CV in the essay. Talk about your vision instead, your professional goals, what you would like to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years after the program. And then the big questions, so that you can stay in the topic, in the theme, is by questioning yourself. What am I trying to help, or who am I trying to help? What is it with this goal? What is my goal in the future that requires me to study all the way in the US? Because this is like the one question that I usually always ask you, like, okay, so you have this problem. Why don't you just do it now? Plan it now. Why do you have to study in the US? Right? If you don't have the answer, we have a problem. But if you have the answer, oh yeah, no, of course I need to study the US, because in the US I will get to learn about the strategy on blah blah. Knowledge is always write, rewrite, rewrite, and rewrite your essay. Like I said, I have like currently now advisees who is probably just kind of like, oh my god, this is insane, because Fina keeps saying work on it more, work on it more. Eighth revision, we're going to have ninth, and I said we still have a long way to go. Probably we'll end up with 30 revisions. We don't know, right? Again, Education USA at America, we are here to review and give feedback of your essays. I would say the number one demand when it comes to Education USA, specifically in America, is about essays. And because I'm very biased in a way that I love reading essays so much, structure, not the grammar. We do not review scholarship essays, by the way. Maybe it can be surprising, and maybe you'll be like, "Oh my God, now you're wasting my time because I thought, you know." But no, we don't review scholarship essays such as a Fulbright or such as a PD. An essay review is well, technically any day, but then we will want to kind of like sometimes I have like sometimes off, but my shift is from 5 until 9, and then Santika's is doing the earlier shift, which is like from 1 until 5. You can start sending your draft if you want by now to my email, or if Santika also want to share your email as well in the chat, you can also do that. My email is falatas@educationusa.org, but don't expect that I would read your essay offline because I don't do that. Can I do that? I can, but do I want to do that? No, I don't want to, because I want you to be present when I review. Oh, because Fina can read an essay, please read my essay, and then please give me like a review, like a comment. I only do that to a case on a special case only, case by case basis. But yeah, normally I want you to be present in the Zoom. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. That's all right. That's already my last slide. I thought I have something more, but I'm gonna stop share this. I'm going to do Q&A. Santika, how are we doing?
As usual, such a satisfying presentation. I'd like to say I'm always here when you're presenting this, at least when we go all online. So from last year till this year, I kind of like never get bored of it. Somehow it's just a bit different in every time. But yeah, I already give you the Q&A sheet link. Basically, the chat box is a crowd because a lot of questions coming in.
I can see that.
And the funny thing is, tonight there are a few or like more questions than usual about standardized tests, about GRE and GMAT, which is funny because we are going to
talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to talk about most of your questions are like, oh, if I'm going to this school, is it do they accept like the general things about the standardized test itself? So maybe like how you're going to register and everything, like how much it is. You will probably need that if you're still asking those kind of questions to me today. I already give it in the chat box on the link how to register, but I'll give it again. And as usual, you guys, if you guys are watching this not from Zoom, of course you don't receive the message I put in the chat box here, but you can go to our website atamerica.or.id and then register for tomorrow's event. And that's that for tomorrow's event, because it's just a good timing because a lot of people are asking that question, right? So yeah. Aside from that, Fina,
what have you guys been talking about while I'm presenting?
Yeah, so a lot of them are asking about things, to put in the essay, like quite technical stuff, like is it common for personal essay and statement of purpose to be asked for the same program in one university? So just one application, but asking for both personal statement and statement of purpose. So yeah, I said, sometimes they do that, but usually if they do that, they will give them specific questions for each or like either of them, right, that you don't confuse them as to be the same thing and just submitting one because they need to essay from you. That's from Acunia, actually, and yeah, some of the interesting questions I will go through after this. I think it's best to address this question first. So this is from Instagram. It's from Dewi Mazia Fortuna. Aja, GMAT is usually for business-related programs, jadi kayak MBA and yang benar-benar kayak entrepreneurship or anything. Usually they ask for GMAT instead of GRE, but most of the business schools these days in US also you have to check for requirements, kayak specific requirementnya apa aja. um, you are going to apply in each university, you
Mhm.
need to check it to the university official website. Okay.
Probably I want to kind of like Santika. So yeah, so basically, is it common? Well, somewhat common, I would say, but yeah, the main essay is still statement of purpose. Sometimes they say the personal essay kind of will make it required as well. But then this is like when my advisors found it really challenging if the university required the personal one because the statement of purpose you will already get it. Those two at the same time. So focus one essay at a time first. That is, we want to definitely focus on statement of purpose for being the first, and then one quite challenging. It's a, kind of like a whole new different problem because then you have to be able to shift your purpose where you are basically not talking situation of Indonesia or whatever, what have you, to all now about you. And then my been back and forth a lot of for a long time talking about oh how to build Indonesia. Oh, you need to provide this data and number. Because I usually tell my advisors that we don't have to put you on the spotlight on the statement of purpose because by just simply talking about how great your plan is, that already shows the kind of person that you are. You are already amazing that way because you want to fix this or you want to start this and that. That's basically you as in who is this person? But I know after reading this essay, this person is like great. But then sometimes, yes, the university will ask, but look, we want to know like who are you? Challenging. So then that's one of the reasons why please start writing early so that we have like more time because like I said, a lot of my switching from like done with segment of purpose, done with one problem, and then another a problem raised. So
I totally agree with that, Pina. Thank you for adding that details into here. And sometimes they don't really put it put a label name on it, but they just give you questions on different essays. Jadi kayak sometimes they just ask for a statement of purpose and then they pop another question for another essay, which is considered personal. It's like maybe asking about if you have any failure before and how you manage to, raise from your failure and everything like that. And Vina, you asked on the, enrollment, and we have answers here. Yay.
no,
Wow, okay.
I know.
Yeah, start early.
Yeah, and because
Or me.
yeah, because the thing is, guys, like I said, right? Especially now that we are going digital, I feel like more and more people heard about Education USA, and that's kind of like my mission, Education USA. And I feel like since we're going digital, it's increasing even more, right, Santika? We've been receiving a lot of inquiries from people. I love that, but then I just want to give you a heads up by starting now because again, like I said, we and so when it's actually um, getting near the deadline, trust me, you will be very frustrated because it will be very hard to see me and to see Santika.
Yep, the schedule is just crazy.
Yeah, the whole system is first come first served. Santika basically shared with me, right? He said when you have like a number of people lined up, you're kind of like anxious in each advisor has different style, right? I mean, Santika and I, we love reading essays, but the way we work on this thing is different. If Santika by want get the chance to see her, Me, I'm doing it differently because it's a first come first serve basis. There are four people in line. I don't care about the four people. I care about you. So no matter like, and I can stay with you the longest for whatever, if we need to talk, I need to talk to you for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to fully focus on you to the point where a lot of people in line, and that's, I feel like, that's okay. I'm doing this, Santika is doing that, but just to kind of like giving you a heads up, that's like how we roll. Each of the is just different. And so, not trying to scare you or anything, but yeah, we definitely see that when it comes to like very near to the deadline, a lot of people just like can't really see us, because there are only the two of us, and then the time is limited and everything. So yeah, if you can start now, please, that would be really great.
Yeah, and not to mention that each of the essay review, most of them actually last about an hour, yeah, Vinaya.
Yeah.
So why I do that, what Fina said, why I do, get anxious, have everyone to help everyone that's coming in, and I feel bad for them waiting. But in actual, reality, it's just because I take more time to read. It feels like I'm being rushed. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and also another thing to make it even worse, I'm a very slow reader. I don't know about you, Santika.
Really?
Exactly what you said, like it can take an hour. And when I read your essay, I really do read your essay. I'm not reading your essay just so that here's my comments, go away, I'm moving on to the next person, right? When I'm reading your essay, like I really do read your essay. So that's why you don't want to be like, when it, especially when it's what, like starting in July, or in a panic mode, especially if you want to study MBA or when the deadline is like coming soon. What if what if for this year 2021, is there still possible? Still possible for sure. I'm actually, I'm currently working with, I think, about like what, 3 4 people who are currently say that they are already in a panic mode. They are panicking because they're already panicking, and then
Yeah,
not much that we can do. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, the rule of thumb is start as early as possible. So those of you who are planning for 2022, you are in the right. Not only because of the essay, but if you have difficulties on, the strategy on, maybe making some timeline on how you want to make your timeline. Not that we will make the timeline for you, but on the strategy on how maybe going to help you get started. So starting early is never. So yeah, and
Not at all.
anyway, right?
Not at all.
So yeah, thank you, Fina, for adding for people to know.
And I think jumping in, and then we only have like, it's 8:17 already though.
Oh, from also Dewi in Instagram. I hope you're still watching. Does it mean that we have to? So yeah,
Depends on when is your deadline. If Dewi, if you are here for 2022, then yeah, you are, that's definitely, I hate tally because I have to be like, Santika and I will be very honest when we review the essay. So when we think that the essay is not ready, then I will tell it's not ready, like it's not what we are looking for. And I hate doing that to people when I know I to see me, and then I said, no, the whole essay is just not what they're looking for. So why not just focus on the, take it one at a time, and then yeah, we can definitely do on the introduction paragraph first. But then, if your deadline is like in 2 weeks, probably not. But then yeah, thank you for
Dewi as well. English proficiency submission. Please come to the event tomorrow because then you will get the answer tomorrow. Yeah, because we have to answer other questions today, tonight as well. So Hi, Kafina or Santika. Do you think we should include some of fancy vocabularies to show off our writing capability
Hmm.
in SOP? Interesting.
Uh, the fancy, like some alien words, like in the GRE. I would say it's unnecessary. I mean, yeah, I mean, why not? If you want to just like throw out like one or two words, but not like too redundant in a way where you keep like throwing in like that. I mean, it depends on like how it sounds like. I mean, I would sometimes read and then I would just like don't really understand what it means, and then I just ask my advice. But then the advices just usually have like one or two words like that. But then yeah, yeah.
I would say stick to your true capability, not like forcing it, because then it will show in your writing if you really understand that word that you're using or not. So that's that for me. And next question is from Alex. This is short but interesting because I'm also wondering, Fina, is a title necessary to be included or just simply leave it like blank or like no title? Hmm.
Someone I would actually kind of like I found it like why. Short answer is no, no.
Okay, so you don't need a title,
I
right?
don't need the title unless the university kind of prefer to just like get their attention by just start reading question. Yeah,
I agree.
Alex, for the question.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that because they already state, let's say like they already ask statement of purpose, this many words and whatever questions that they put out there in the requirements. So your job is just to give that. You don't need to give them a title like making a story or something like that. So yeah, it makes sense. Kind of like there's no rule on this. The question is from Kafi. Is it okay if we combine both personal and non-personal aspect in our essay?
Mm-hmm.
I say there's no rule. I told Kafi to write out his draft and try to find us.
Mm-hmm. The way I look at this, if you attend the session from the beginning, it's yes. But then yeah, I totally agree with Santika. Um, uh, personal and what is it? The personal and the non-personal aspect of your essay still stays in the same theme, then go for it. You know. So
Right.
for example, I have an advisee who talked about both, but then it's related. So she's talking about like how she by side with people like from a low, and then she grew up having like the privilege, but then that's like when she realized that oh wow the gap is real, and then I see this as wants to do. So if you have that, it's very rare. It's very rare, and the person's already yeah. And so if and that's very rare. So if you have that, definitely. Yep.
Yeah, and I also remember a few of my advisees doing that. And I'm not even conscious when I'm, reviewing that. I'm not even conscious if this is personal or not personal. It's just something that's in them, which is personal, but you connect it to what you want to do, which is professional. So it's kind of like connected, and it's what Fina said in the beginning. It's very hard to separate the two essay. It's so hard to separate because it's part of you. But yeah, I hope that helps. And then next question is also interesting, Fina. Is it okay to cold email a faculty member to build connection? My answer to this is from Hasna in Zoom. Response of the faculty member and how I emailed Professor A, B, and C, and quote. So yeah, that's not going to work out for the essay at all, and you don't want to do that. So yeah, that's for me. If Fina
like you want to again. I think the keyword of is the fact that the way the U.S. universities review our application and the way we yeah the whole thing like the whole applying you to U.S. university, right? So the kind of connection that you want to build with your professors also it has to be very personal, not just like simply like exactly what Santika said, like, hey, do you have any funding? You know, please give me one. And introduce yourself. If, especially if you think that the professor will find her, then say it. And I have a lot of advisees actually do that after my suggestion, after our
Next question, next two questions is from two-person in Zoom is actually very, what do I call this? Very similar. So one is from Agustin. Seems like for quite some time by now. Um, Hai Kak, aku mau nanya tapi agak melenceng dari topiknya. Kalau mau apply untuk S2, posisinya udah kerja, tapi yang dikerjain nggak relevan sama S1. Tapi kita pick di S1. So, will it be a problem? Kayak apakah akan jadi kendala basically karena kita nggak punya pengalaman lapangan soal topik untuk S2 itu. Because what the next statement is soalnya kalau ikutin sesi-sesi diet Amerika, nangkepnya kalau essay, CV, recommendation letter itu harus
yeah
so much.
yeah the magic word that we need that we all need to have. But the short answer is basically absolutely you can still. Probably we don't have the time, but maybe we can continue talking about will this be? But yeah, no. The short answer for this is very common in the U.S. where you did your bachelor's degree in I don't know like philosophy, anything else like engineering, and then you do like MBA, completely different field. And then you know even if like it's similar, like what you said here, like the S1 is similar to what you want to do in the future. A lot of programs, yeah, a lot of programs actually quite open about it, unless it should be good because they. I was thinking about like you know the prereq, right? Like the university might ask you, you know, you can apply to this program, you know, like hardcore math
or whatever.
Yeah, it is like yeah.
That's very common. So what I have in mind to add to that is usually U.S. universities are very welcoming and encouraging people to do interdisciplinary, regardless of like in your case like I don't have work experience in it, but I took the bachelor degree in that and which is fine. So what I can think about, I think the exception is more like something related to medical and health and something to do with law because one like kamu perlu basic and experience ya. So that's probably Alex's question is very similar. Alex Johnson in Zoom. Hi Vina and Santika, thank you so much for the presentation. I have another question. What if we research? Oh, sorry. Taking an aerospace engineering research in space system, but my prior research experience is not space system, but still aerospace engineering or human space flight. Wow, this is so specific and interesting.
An example is always like aerospace because I think I've been is coming in to see me is always like aerospace. So Alex, you know, I'll look forward to you know review your essay if you want me to take a look at your take a look on that. I have a number of but yeah pretty much the same, you know. I mean it's not like we're going to talk about yeah like your working experience in your essay, right, unless the university is asking about it. But then even if maybe the essay kind of like have some kind of like an odd small paragraph talking about like your past experience university asks that to kind of like you share about like your what have you done in the past, but then the majority going to do in the future. So as long as you have the story, you have the backstory, and you have the everything laid out on the essay, like why do you need to do this? Where's the government in this? Ready to have you helping the government and everything. Then yeah, no problem at all. Be kind of like troublesome is when they ask you the prerequisite course, but then I don't see that going to be a problem for you. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can just take, fulfill the prerequisite and then, go for that program. It won't be a problem because they will state whatever they ask for in the web page usually, or like I mean, you be clear. It will be kind of like very visible on the page where you see the requirements, so you don't really have kind of like try to reach out to the faculty member or the professor, see if you are a good fit for the program as well.
Right. So yeah. See Novika Maharani in Instagram. You know what? I know that tomorrow session GRE GMAT we can do like IELTS and everything, but you know what? Let's do the LSAT as well. It's if you can't join tomorrow even check out Adamerica's website. We're going to have the same time 6:30 on Friday. We're going to talk about like standardized tests, and I'll Instagram. I would say if you want to kind of like watch the session again because we covered that already, but yeah, or simply email us or or not. Happy, I have one question. I was wondering, you skip your presentation. Oh, not good, but that's okay. How about the maximum page of essay, particular essay for PhD program? Well, I mean, the short answer will depend on the university. Sometimes they don't really have like a page limit. Then when there is a university that don't ask for a page limit, like they don't have like a page limit or words limit. Limit yourself. Don't It doesn't mean that you want to go like 5 pages, but stick to like 1.5 page. I know it's like nothing, or maybe like a maximum of 2. All right.
Right.
Wow.
Much. I will be giving like the details of tomorrow's event in the chat box in Zoom, or you can go to edamerica.or.id to register yourself for the event tomorrow. And I'm also going to give like the direction on if you want to do essay review with Fina or me in the chat box. Basically, just email us.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you know what? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Santika, for helping me during my presentation. I always like try my best. This is I think like my 4th try to actually do the presentation quicker so that we have like more discussion. But I always failed. I don't know. Why. Maybe I need to. Hope you learned something new tonight, guys. Again, if you are on 2022 term, you are on the right track, but please start writing now and then come see us. If you are here for 2021, again, we are still here. It's not like I'm going to kind of like, no, I'm not going to, take a look at your essay, but just to kind of like give you a heads up that I'm going to be very honest. So probably, we won't be able to kind of like finish it up. But again, thank you so much. I really hope you guys have fun in the chat with Santika. Please join the session tomorrow. I think we haven't had this for quite a while. And we want to just kind of like reduce the presentation slides significantly so that we can just basically and then you want to kind of like throw out questions regarding essay or whatever, then we can actually do that one event on a Saturday when basically no presentation, just kind of like discuss why essay is really difficult. Basically what we are doing now. Okay. Thank you so much, Santika. Thank you guys who watched the session, but for doing this and have a great night. I'm looking at some of the names, so I really hope I'm going to see similar names tomorrow at 6:30 because I think it's going to be very informative as well for you guys. So yeah, I look forward to having you again tomorrow. To Jasmine.
Thank you so much. In tonight's event. So, at the beginning of the event, I asked you guys a social media question. What does the word proofread mean? So, what does it mean? To check what you have written for mistakes. That's why for those of you who are going to write a statement of purpose or personal essay. So you must one of the two. So shout out to Rizka Nugraha Eni from Instagram for answering the question correctly. Now, earlier in the event, I also told you guys that Ad America is having a giveaway as part of our 10th anniversary celebration continuation, and also part of a celebration of Women's History Month. So just upload a picture of an American woman who you think is inspirational to you guys, and you guys must explain why they are inspirational. You guys can upload it on your Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You can go to the link below at bit.ly/WHMinspire. Alright, so how can you develop an awesome idea at an awesome place like Ad America? It's really easy. You can just go to our website at www.adamerica.or.id, select reviewed, and your event might be featured here soon. And while you guys are on our website, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter so you guys get updates from us sent straight to your inbox. And also event updates and many more. Hope you guys have a good evening and see you at the next Ad America TV event. Bye bye everybody.